What's up, everyone? Welcome into Around the Felt. I'm your host, Reagan Loescher, here with my host, Colin Tong, and we're talking all things NFL, because guess what? What's up, Colin? What is it? What's going on?
It's week one, baby. It's football week. We got it back in a
sir.
couple days. Eagles, Cowboys kicking off the season. Come on, we're back. It's great to talk about some real football games coming up.
Dude, I'm just so pumped. I mean, I know me and you have been doing a ton of underdog drafts, fantasy football drafts. Like, we're so locked in. I actually have an 18-person fantasy football draft tonight, so we'll see how that roster looks like. I'm sure if anyone in the comments listening to this is in an 18-man or even a 20-man league, drop a comment. Let me know what your roster is looking like, because I am terrified to see what I come out with tonight. We don't even have quarterbacks. Instead of quarterbacks, it's super flex.
That's great. Yeah, because
you can on the bye weeks.
I had my last fantasy draft this afternoon before we recorded, so feels good to have all the hay in the barn, all my ball clubs set, ready to rock for week one.
Yeah, dude, I'm so excited. I don't know about you, but but hey, I mean, you ready to get right into it? We'll get to some questions from some of our Felt fans, and then we'll get into the predictions.
Yeah, let's do it. Shout out to Jared Crampton sending some questions to the crew before week one. His first question: what ambiguous backfield do you think will produce a high-level fantasy asset? What comes to mind for me: Jacksonville, Cleveland, Minnesota. What sticks out to you, Reagan?
Yeah, so I'm going to look at backfield, like you said, where it's, they might produce. There's a couple mouths to feed. Even the Jets with Breece Hall and Braylon Allen, I like a lot. Seattle, while I was saying I'm not the biggest Kenneth Walker guy, I think between him and Charbonnet, that backfield will produce, because, both guys are great after contact. Cleveland, you highlighted already. Minnesota with Jordan Mason and Aaron Jones. That's a good one. I like the Bills, too. The Bills, I think they have a three-headed monster there, too, with James Cook, Ray Davis, and Tyler Johnson.
It's not ambiguous, though. James Cook's the starter.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But I think Ray Davis is going to be more involved this year. With the three I just said, Ray Davis is going to be eating into James Cook. Zach Charbonnet is going to be eating into Kenneth Walker's, and Braylon Allen's going to be eating into Breece Hall, where it's those are the presumed starters, but those guys may have bigger roles. Another one in Pittsburgh, too. While Jaylen Warren did just re-sign an extension, Keon Johnson was the high draft pick, so he's going to eat into that. There's a lot of them, but I don't know. What would be your number one that you're looking at someone to take over by the end of the year?
Yeah, I'm going to stick to my guns and go Quinshon Judkins, the guy who was picked very high in the second round from the Cleveland Browns. They have two backs on the roster right now. And, Stefanski came out and said there will be more than two backs on the roster. And it was reported earlier today, actually, from a Browns beat reporter that he could rejoin the team this week before week one. So I know it's not a great offense, but that team's going to need to run the football with their quarterback situation. I'm still going to go Quinshon Judkins to take that job. I just got him in round 13 of my fantasy draft, which I thought was an absolute steal given his ceiling. So I like Quinshon Judkins a lot. I also think in Jacksonville, Travis Etienne sticks out to me as the guy who's going to take that Bucky Irving role. We'll see, though. Maybe Tootin in his 4.3 speed cuts into his workload a little bit.
Yeah, and I will say, if Judkins does play this week, do not play him at all.
No, you can't play him.
Start him.
No.
Just let it unfold. I would not personally feel comfortable starting any of the running backs, even if, I guess that's a tough thing. If all three play, I think I'm not playing any of them, because you're basically flipping a coin. If it's just Sampson and Ford, I feel a lot better because the Cincinnati defense is terrible. So I do think they'll be able to run the ball, but in a not great offense with a three-man timeshare, I don't love that. But I don't know. I do like the Flacco Judy stack for DFS lineups. I think that could be actually a big-time producer at their price points, or underdog drafts as well, because you don't have to really pay the premium on either. But I think it's slated to be a very high-scoring matchup. If the Bengals offense, does open the floodgates and score a lot on Cleveland's defense, which obviously their defense is good, I think that'll lead to Joe Flacco having a lot of garbage time work with Jerry Jeudy. So this week I like them both as well.
Next question from Jared. Who is your most drafted player in best ball? Pull up that exposure, Reagan.
So for me, let me Let me pull it up, Jared. That is a great question. I know for the running back position, it was Brees Hall for me. I had a lot of stock in him just because it kept coming up in drafts, and I was in the 4th, 5th round, and I'm like, why would I not take this guy? I mean, we've seen him finish as a top 12 running back before. He gets the volume as a receiver as well. If he can go back to 2 years ago where he had like 80-something catches and was second out of all running backs, I mean, that is insane value. Then I have a lot of Judkins. I started targeting him a lot at the dip. My number one wide receiver is Trey Harris and Puka Nacua. I think Puka, I guess that just shows I had a lot of late first round picks, and Trey Harris, I was getting a lot of stock in him before the Keenan Allen news. I still feel confident, and believe it or not, I'm sticking to my guts. My highest drafted quarterback was Bryce Young, who I said I think could be an MVP candidate and a sleeper for fantasy. I mean, I don't love that they got rid of Thielen and Coker's now on the IR to start the season, but they did bring back Renfro, so that's nice. And then to wrap it up with my tight end, it was George Kittle, just because, I know you were harping on it all in the fantasy episode. He's just an extreme value where you can get the same production of McBride and Bowers, but you get him in the 4th, 5th round, especially with the uncertainty right now at their receiving core where, Ayuk is on IR, Debo's gone, Jennings is a little banged up, and Ricky Pearsall, where it's like, all right, this guy's the number one target at the tight end position. So those were my 4 guys highest targeted at the position groups. What about you, though?
I like that a lot, Reagan. My number one running back out of 16 teams is Quinshon Judkins, taken in half of them. And that was obviously later in the draft, and I'm buying the discount on him, obviously, with all this stuff going on during the offseason. But I always had hope he was going to play for Cleveland this season. So I think the upside for Judkins that late for me, I was like, hey, I'm fine taking him as my RB4 or 5 at that part of the draft and hopefully reaping the rewards. If it's a waste pick, fine. It was a later pick in the draft. So we'll see. My wide receiver, another late guy, Luther Burden. That is me banking on him feasting in the slot and being that Amon-Ra St. Brown in the Chicago Bears offense for Ben Johnson. And again, that's a wide receiver 5, 6 for me in a lot of these drafts. But late, I'm banking on that upside, and I think he can have a huge role down the stretch of the season. Quarterback for me was actually Justin Herbert. And that's a strategy where with most of my drafts, I waited on quarterback and got 2 guys in that like 12 to 18 range. And a lot of the time, I just preferred Herbert over a lot of those other quarterbacks. I mean, the guy threw 3-4 picks last year, had the best rushing season of his career. Now they have more weapons around him in LA. Second year under Harbaugh. So, hey, Harbaugh wants to get this guy to the Hall of Fame. Let's see what he can do in 2025. A lot of Justin Herbert stock. And tight end for me, Dalton Kincaid. I was surprised here. Dalton Kincaid. I took him as a tight end 2 in a lot of drafts, though. If you go back to our fantasy episode, Reagan, I was saying, hey, what if we're just a year too early on the Kincaid breakout? I'm still seeing a similar wide receiver core in Buffalo where there's a lot of mouths to feed, but anyone can erupt with Josh Allen. The guy was picked in the 1st round out of Utah for a reason. He was the best receiving tight end in that class. Very slow second year, but hey, I think Kincaid has a bounce back season, but obviously not my tight end 1 in a lot of these drafts, but I like him as my tight end 2 to potentially break out.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like the Kincaid call. I took him a lot. I mean, Herbert, it's a great strategy, waiting and getting him at the value. And even if he is your QB2, I mean, there were a lot of times, honestly, a lot of my leagues, I drafted 2 quarterbacks max and 2 tight ends max. And I think if you're not doing that, you're not doing yourself, you're not doing yourself justice. I mean, I guess there was a couple rare times where I waited pretty late on quarterback and I was like, oh shit, I fucked up. And I was at the point where I was like, my second quarterback was like either Russell Wilson or Joe Flacco. And I'm like, I can't do that because by the time the bye weeks roll around, I don't even know if these guys are going to be the starters. So I'm like, I had to get like a third guy. And believe it or not, I did a super flex draft. And I think my 4 quarterbacks are like Richardson, Daniel Jones, Joe Flacco, and Daniel Jones. And I was like, that is disgusting. But my other guys are insane. It just like worked out that I just kept finding great value. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to punt the quarterback position. I just need 2 of these 3 to ball out every week.
Yeah, there you go. I also believe in taking 2 quarterbacks. I mean, if one quarterback goes down, you're fucked anyways, right? Like, I don't know. I believe in going 2 quarterbacks and loading up on receivers and running backs to help fill out your weekly lineup.
Yeah, so
I do have
rarely
3 tight ends.
3 quarterback teams.
I do have 3 tight ends in some leagues where I waited for a long time on tight end and, just took a couple dart throws, like 3 guys. That's not every draft, though.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a fine approach. I just figure with the tight end position, you're not like, if you're waiting at that point, what's the point of adding a third dud if you're already going to have 2 duds? You know what I mean? Like,
maybe one of them catches a touchdown.
Like, unless you have one of those like top couple. But even then, it's like, what are you getting? 10 points? It's not like you're really reaping the rewards from doing it.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, Reagan, you ready to get into these ball games?
I'm excited. I am. Let's do it. That's enough underdog. But I'm excited to see how we fare.
All right, starting us off for Thursday night, we have the Dallas Cowboys at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are 7.5-point favorites with a 47.5-point win total. That hook on the 7 is bothering me a little bit. Reagan, what are your thoughts on Philly Dallas to open up the season?
Yeah, I really think it's going to be a Philly manhandling. It's Super Bowl night. Evan Anderson and his Eagles are super excited for, being able to host the Dallas Cowboys. But I just think the Eagles are going to kill them. I think the crowd's going to be electric. Vibes are going to be high, and the team's just going to come out and punch Dallas into the mouth where, Dallas also just traded away Micah Parsons. And while, it hurts enough not having him on the field, I think that's going to be deflating for the locker room as well, because that was just such a, he was just such a big part of that team. And I feel like they're all looking at Jerry Jones like, what are you doing, man? That's our guy. And you just traded him away. While I don't hate the haul they got, it doesn't help them right now. I mean, Kenny Clark, obviously he's just still not bad, but he's not going to put up the production Micah did or even close to that. He's more of a run stopper, and he's an interior guy, not an edge guy. So I just think ultimately it's a big night for the Eagles. They end up winning like 30-17, maybe even more than that. And I think it seems closer like what I'm saying right now, but that's a lot because I think a lot of it will come down to garbage time with, Dak at the end, just getting that easy chunk yards to get it closer. But I find it hard to believe that this Dallas defense is going to be able to slow down this and very talented Eagles offense.
You hit the nail on the head, my friend. I also have the Eagles winning and covering the 7.5 points. Look, I mean, to your point, vibes are not high in Dallas right now after trading away Micah Parsons. I just think that defense is going to be deflated. This is an elite Philadelphia offense against a very questionable Dallas defense at home. Is Dak Prescott going to be rusty after missing a vast majority of the season last year? It's a tough draw. Week 1 on the road with that crowd celebrating their Super Bowl championship and that secondary. Although I think Dak's going to have a good season in terms of counting stats because that defense looks bad on paper, this is not going to be the night for it. I think Philadelphia absolutely rolls here. I think Jalen Hurts has a tush push. Just to remind everyone that it did not get banned in the offseason, and Philadelphia rolls.
Yeah, so it sounds like we're on a similar page to start out. Week 1. We got
that
the Eagles.
Will not last.
Both boys are snapping the Eagles.
That will not last. Let's get to our second game, Friday night, neutral site game, I believe in Brazil yet again. Correct, Reagan?
Yeah, Brazil. Yeah, it's in Brazil.
We have the Kansas City Chiefs as 3-point favorites versus the division rival Los Angeles Chargers, a 45.5-point total. The floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, so in this neutral site game, I'll be going with the Kansas City Chiefs here. If it was at home for the Chargers, I might feel a little differently, but I just think, with all the facets of this Kansas City being this dominant team the past couple of years, I mean, just being in the Super Bowl all the time, I think they're just going to know how to handle being in a different environment like that, traveling so far. And I just trust Patrick Mahomes more than I do Justin Herbert. So I think they're going to start it out right. And I think this is one where it's like everyone's going to be overly excited for what the Chargers can do this year, which I do think they're going to be a great team. I just think week 1, I'm going to trust Kansas City because, they're just a better team. The defense is better, and I'm betting on Patrick Mahomes here. There's not a ton of insight here, and not going to throw a ton of stats at you here. I do think it'll be close. It'll come down to the wire, but I just think Patrick Mahomes will do Patrick Mahomes things in the fourth quarter and give those Brazilians something to write home about.
Wrong. The Chargers are going to start off with a bang and upset the Chiefs to open up this season. Hey, if I'm predicting them to win the division this year and I have high hopes for the Chargers, why not pick them week 1 against the team who they're trying to dethrone? I think this LAC defense can contain Mahomes in that offense without Rashee Rice. I don't love the Chiefs' run game. It's going to be a lot of Mahomes, absolutely. Hollywood Brown, are you going to step up? Xavier Worthy, was that down the stretch what we saw? Is that what we're going to see all year or not? Kelsey off a bad season. What is he going to look like? I don't know. The new left tackle, Josh Simmons, although I'm high on him long-term for the Chiefs, and he looks good in camp. Let's see his first live action. I think there's a lot of question marks in this Chiefs team right now. I don't actually love their defense on paper. They've lost a lot of core guys over the last couple off seasons. So, you know what, man? Why not the Chargers? I expect this run game with rookie Omarion Hampton to take over in the fourth quarter. Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert get a monster win to start the season off. They win by a field goal.
Wow. Yeah, I disagree. I don't see it, man.
Well,
I mean, I'm honestly down.
Let's put the money where the mouth is.
What were you going to say?
Let's put our money where the mouth is. Let's go. Big bet of the week.
Well, hey,
right
for
here
those who let's do the big bet. I mean, for those who are new to the podcast, we try to do a big bet every week. I mean, assuming there's like one game we feel very passionate about and we're both on the opposite side. And then we do a punishment at the end of the week. So we're bringing that back for year 3. We've had some good punishments in the past. And this one, I think we were talking about it off pod. We're going to be doing, since me and Colin are going to a winery for this Saturday. Not going to say why, because, surprise. But we're going to a winery this Saturday. And the loser, we have decided, will be chugging a glass of red wine. So wine already is not something you want to chug. And we've talked to our expert wine drinkers and asked them what would be the hardest type of wine to drink or to chug. And they said red wine. So one of us will be drinking not drinking, but chugging a nice full glass of red wine. And when I say one of us, I mean Colin.
Yeah, to the absolute brim, this glass will be for Reagan to chug, and it better not be me because I have chronic heartburn, so my day will be ruined if I have to do this punishment. So come on, Jim and Justin, don't let me down.
Yeah, chronic heartburn. You'll let that Chiefs red will go down real good and feel nice on the heart.
Oh, boy. All right, let's move on to the Sunday slates, and we get to talk about my New York Football Giants at the Washington Commanders, who are 6.5-point favorites. Total 45.5. A lot of totals in the mid-40s this upcoming weekend. I mean, I think we know who I'm going to take, but Reagan, you could say first. What do you like here in this game?
Yeah, I mean, I actually love this line, 6.5. I wouldn't feel as confident if it was 7.5 because I think the Giants defense is good enough to keep it close, but I think the Commanders win by 7. I do. I think this game will be close, but I think ultimately I'm going to go with the proven offense here. With I almost said Daniel Jones, Jaden Daniels and this Commanders, this new look Commanders offense. Well, you got some new toys to play with here and Deebo Samuel's, Bill at running back, Eckler, and then obviously they bring in Laramie Tunsil. So I'm going with the Commanders here, but I do think the Giants will play well. I think, Russ and Nabers connection will be showing early, but I see this being a kind of a high scoring affair. I think it'll get close to the over. I could see it being like 27-20 here. I think the Giants offense will definitely be better just with, Russell Wilson being a massive upgrade over what they had. But yeah, so 27-20 Commanders barely cover.
Yeah, you're wrong yet again, my friend. The New York Football Giants are going to start off week 1 with an absolute bang. Of course, I'm taking my New York Giants. Of course, I'm taking that defensive line and the new look offense with Russell Wilson at the helm. Look, I don't think it's crazy if there's going to be a sophomore slump for Jaden Daniels and the Commanders right now. Coming off a 12-5 season, they clearly exceeded expectations, but now the target's on their back. And I think it's a tough draw for him week 1 for a Giants team that feels rejuvenated. And despite the addition of Laramie Tunsil, I still think that offensive line is questionable, where this defensive line for the Giants can take over late in the game and steal an upset win. Call me crazy, man. I expect a massive game out of Malik Nabers. This is actually, I'm so happy to get to do this. Big Dogs Parlay is back for year number 2. And yet, yes, last year we were a little slow down the stretch. We still went up 23 units on the season, but we started off hitting 3 the first 4 weeks. So let's keep it rolling. Malik Nabers is the first pick for Big Dogs Parlay. Hey, him against Jaden, I think they both go off every time these guys are going to face up. They're boys, and I don't think anyone in the Commanders can stop Nabers. And, of course, Jaden Daniels is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So, Yeah, give me Malik Nabers, a touchdown, a monster game as the Giants get an upset win on the road in Washington.
Yeah, I think the craziest part is that you're acting like the Giants are this tough draw for the Commanders as if they weren't picking top 3 last year. I think there's a lot worse draws you can get for the Commanders than a team that finished bottom 3.
Hey,
and they're at home
rival,
too.
Division rival, and hey, historically the Giants have had the Commanders' number over the past 6-7 years, even when the Giants were bad. So, I think it's sneaky.
Sure.
I think they could be overlooking the Giants, man. I'm being honest with you. Divisional
I just got a notification. Matthew Stafford expected to play week 1. So, it's not going to – I figured he would, but that's good to hear.
That is good to hear. All right, we'll get to that game shortly. But first, we got to talk about your Carolina Panthers. So you're predicting to win the division this year at the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are 3-point favorites at home, a 46.5 win total. I have a feeling you're going to pick your Carolina Panthers here, Reagan, but tell me more.
Well, I'm high on the Jaguars as well. I have both teams winning their divisions, so these are going to be 2 of my favorites to pick this season. I do have the Panthers getting the upset, though, spoiling the new golden boy of Jacksonville, Travis Hunter's homecoming game. Jacksonville's going to be hyped up, but I got Dave Canales and Bryce Young bringing all that energy, bringing all that improvement that they had at the end of last year. Fuck, it's hard speaking English sometimes. Into this year, you get Derek Brown back, you get J.C. Horn back, and guess what? The Panthers also got, the number 1 receiver in this draft, Ted McMillan. He's going to want to put on a show and show, hey, I should have been taken before Travis Hunter. I'm the best wide receiver in this class, not Travis Hunter. So, he's going to put up a big game. So, Ted's actually a guy I think is a sneaky guy to put up 100 receiving yards in week 1 because I think he's going to have a chip on his shoulder too. And I think that's kind of underrated and didn't get talked about. I just realized that now that, Tet versus Travis Hunter week 1, top 2 wide receivers taken in the draft. So that's cool. I wonder if they did that on purpose. I don't know. Probably.
I wonder if Travis Hunter is going to be lining up against Tet, but Travis on the defensive side of the ball at some point in this game.
I have him in fantasy, so I hope not.
Yeah, me too. I got Travis Hunter in multiple leagues.
100% on offense.
Yeah, I got Travis Hunter in 1 redraft and 1 dynasty and a shit ton of best ball. So hopefully, 80% snap share plus on offense would be great to see in this game. I ultimately sided with the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're the home team here. Look, I think this game could certainly go either way. I actually think both offenses are going to be much better in 2025 compared to 2024. And I have major question marks about both of these teams' defenses. Like the Panthers were the worst defense in football last year. Yes, Derek Brown is back after missing all of last season. Yes, they did add Travion Merrick to the back end of that defense, but I still see a shit ton of holes that I think Liam Cohen can exploit. Also coming from Tampa Bay, where he played Carolina twice last year. So I think he'll have a good game plan to go against him. And I just think the Jaguars at this point in time are a more talented team. Although they got holes in the offensive line, so does Carolina. But the weapons in Jacksonville are better. I think Trevor Lawrence, the more experienced quarterback, can get a win at home to start the season. But this one's a total coin flip in my mind, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I will say, I think this, if there was one game on the slate, I think would be the highest scoring game. I think it's this game. I think this will be the highest scoring game. So if you're looking at over-unders, this is one I'm slamming the over in. And, if you're one of those guys that, takes the line for highest scoring matchup of the week, this is one. I think, like you highlighted, the defenses have a lot of question marks, and I think there's a great spot for fantasy. And, I'm definitely targeting players in this matchups because I think this could end up being one of those games that both teams are pushing to get into the mid to low 30s.
Yeah, I think there's a world where Tet and Travis Hunter both score. I just didn't want to go with you rookie wide receivers into the big dog parlay to start off the season. It's a little ballsy. And hey, Brian Thomas, a dog, but J.C. Horn is probably going to be on his ass the entire game shadowing him, and he's a legit player on that defense that Carolina doesn't have many of them. So I stayed away from that matchup, but I agree. I think it's going to be high scoring. Defense is definitely questionable in this one. Moving on to revenge game. Aaron Rodgers returning back to MetLife. The Pittsburgh Steelers 3-point favorites at the New York Jets. Reagan's New York Jets, 37.5 win total. It's a double revenge game. Rodgers versus the Jets. Fields against the Steelers. You got to be picking your Jets, but tell me why.
I am picking my Jets. What kind of fan would I be in week one? I mean, this is one of the games I think is very winnable for us on the season, which there aren't a ton, but this is one I feel like we have a good chance. We match up really well. This is one that actually might be the lowest scoring game on the week because I think both defenses are, top 10, maybe even top 5. Very talented, and both offenses are going to be pretty ugly to watch this year. So I think it'll be low scoring, which plays into the favor of the Jets at home. And, I could honestly see this being like Jets winning 14-13, like something gross like that, where it comes down to the fourth quarter. But I just think for us, it means so much more. Like all these players are going to be fired up. The fans are going to be, this is our Super Bowl. Like I hate to say it, but this is our Super
Week
Bowl.
one.
Because like, I'm going to be honest, like we probably aren't making the playoffs. So this is our Super Bowl. And we just have to win it. We have to. Rodgers took away the past 2 years of our life. So let's get our get back. Let's win our Super Bowl. What do you say, Jets fans? Let's get it done.
Yep, you're wrong yet again, my friend. I have the Pittsburgh Steelers.
It's not our Super Bowl?
Aaron Rodgers, Mike Tomlin walking into MetLife Stadium and sneaking out with a win. I do think it'll be low scoring. I think I'm going to go a 16-10 win for Pittsburgh here. I just think it's going to be ugly as shit. Let's be honest. I just think they're the better team. And hey, it is, your guy's Aaron Glenn's first game as a head coach compared to Mike Tomlin, who's considered a Hall of Fame caliber coach. And I think Mike Tomlin had Fields in the building for a long time last year. I think he's going to know what he needs to do with Justin's limitations to slow down that offense. It's going to have to be the run game and Breece Hall for me if the Jets are going to pull this one out. But that Steeler front with Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, Highsmith, it's legit. So I think the Jets, even though I like their offensive line a lot, I think it's a lot of young guys that are going to struggle with this Pittsburgh front. I think Rodgers will do enough to get a win here. I think they score one touchdown and kick a shit ton of field goals, to be honest with you. I don't think Rodgers likes the stat sheet up by any stretch of the means, but for me, they have the better quarterback right now. They have the more experienced quarterback. They have the better head coach, the more experienced head coach. I'm going to walk into MetLife and spoil Jets fans week one Sunday.
Yeah, and for fantasy football, too, I'm going to say it like any fringe players I'm probably not playing in this matchup on the offensive side of the ball. Like, I would even have a hesitation with, like, DK Metcalf in this matchup. Like you're obviously going to play DK and Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. But outside
that's it for me. That's it. That's all you could play.
Like, I mean, I guess the kickers are both fine to play. Like Nick Folk and Chris Boswell will probably end up being like top 5 kickers this week because I think we both are thinking there's going to be a lot of opportunities for field goals. But I mean, both quarterbacks I wouldn't be thrilled about. I mean, Fields is, I guess, weird because the matchup really doesn't matter for him. You're never going to be playing him up for a good matchup. You're just going to be playing him off the fact that he can run the ball. And if it's garbage time and he gets a bunch of easy yards, like, I don't think there's going to be many matchups this year where you're like, oh, I love this matchup for Justin Fields. Like, it doesn't matter. He's not a good passer. It's going to be with his legs. So I almost feel like with him, you might benefit more in the bad matchups where he's getting that easy garbage time stuff at the end of the game, which in this case probably won't be there because it's going to be so low scoring.
Yeah, I have Fields in one redraft league, but I have another quarterback in Justin Herbert. I think I'm going to go Justin Herbert over Justin Fields, even though he doesn't have an easy matchup either against Kansas City. But, it's just more of it's definitely a safer play in my mind, week one.
Yeah. Plus, it's always fun to have a guy in prime time.
Moving on, the Las Vegas Raiders at the New England Patriots, who are 2.5-point favorites at home, 43.5-point total. 2 new head coaches. Pete Carroll for the Raiders, Mike Vrabel for the Patriots. A little Josh McDaniels revenge game, some would say. Hey, very interesting ball game here. These two teams look very different from what they did a season ago. How do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, I'm rocking with New England here at home. I think they're going to get it done. I'm not a big believer in the Raiders yet. They're like one of the teams for me that I need to see it first to fully believe in them. But I think Vrabel is going to have this team fired up. I think the fans are going to be fired up, and I'm excited to see Drake May start out his year too because he's a guy I think is going to take a big jump. Stephon Diggs, I'm excited to see what he can do early on. Another guy that is very head scratching to me that he's falling so far in fantasy drafts where like he's going to be such a big target. And Henderson, I'm excited for him as well. And Genty as well on the Raiders side. I'm excited to see both of these rookie running backs, two highly drafted guys in this battle. And I ultimately got the Patriots getting the win here. And I think this one I think will be lower scoring, but I think the Patriots may actually still win by double digits. I feel pretty confident in them in this one.
Wow, we finally agree after a long stretch of disagreements. I also have the New England Patriots here. Look, for me, they're the home team. There's a lot of movement on both sides in the offseason, new coaches, a lot of new faces. I'm going to take the team that's at home here. And in my opinion, the Raiders have the worst secondary in football, and they might have one of the worst defenses in football. If you took the name Max Crosby off that team, that defense is ugly. So I think Drake May can come out in year 2 and slang that thing to start the season off. Certainly an interesting storyline, a fun game. I think both rookie backs are going to have good days, but I think I kind of believe in that Mike Vrabel defense more than that Pete Carroll defense, which is why I gave the nod in Big Dog's touchdown parlay to Travion Henderson, the rookie, in his first start. Yes, he will score against this Raiders team. I think the Pats can hang 30 on this defense, to be honest with you, man. And I don't think they have anyone at linebacker that could run with Travion Henderson. I think this is going to happen in the passing game, not on the ground. But give me Travion Henderson. Hey, maybe he returns a kick, and then we're really excited, huh? Maybe the opening kickoff, that'd be sick.
Are you not worried about Ramondre early on?
No, I'm not really worried about Ramondre Stevenson because I think it's a new regime. They took him when they did for a reason. Mike Vrabel believes in him, and his skill set is just so much different from Ramondre's. Like I said, I think this is going to happen in the passing game, and this Raiders defense is one I'm going to be targeting all season long. So I will take Travion Henderson. I think we'll get good odds on that one as well.
Yeah, I would think so. I think it'll be like close to almost plus 200.
Yeah, juice it up a bit.
Just because of the fact that I think it will be juiced up just because until we see like him fully over. But even in fantasy, man, both those running backs, like ESPN's projecting them both to have big games. So maybe it's worth taking both of them to score.
I thought about it. Had to pick one.
I don't know.
I wasn't going to go two backs in the same game. All right, moving on, Reagan.
Probably not one I would like you to take or to tail.
No. The Arizona Cardinals, 5.5-point favorites at the New Orleans Saints, 42.5-point total here. I'm not going to lie, 5.5 seems a little low for my liking, given the fact that Spencer Rattler is starting for the Saints. No way you're taking the Rat Man, are you?
No. And I feel like I do feel like this is actually a trap game because that line seems like it should be higher.
Yeah.
But then again, the Saints always play so good at home. Fuck. I think I'm going to switch to the Saints covering. I'm going to take the Saints to cover. I have taken the Cardinals in some survivor lineups, so in a couple survivor pools this year. So the Cardinals has been a popular pick, I'm sure, for me and many others. But ultimately, that line scares me. So I think just purely off the fact that it's that low against a team starting Spencer Rattler at 5.5, I think I might take him to cover somehow. I mean, I guess the Cardinals defense isn't anything like too crazy. Like while they've had some additions and getting better and better, I don't know. Not a whole lot of insight here, man, because like my gut tells me the Cardinals should just dominate this terrible Saints team. But remember the first two games of last year with that Saints team where we thought they were the greatest show on turf, where they put up like 40 back-to-back weeks. And I was like, oh, no, they still suck. They're very bad. So that gives me a little pause. I know it's a whole new regime coming in, but I don't know. This is one I'm kind of probably staying away from in most senses.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I'm staying away. I took the Cardinals to cover and to win this game, but I agree with you, man. Not a ton of insight. It just feels like one of those where so many people in Survivor are going to just pick the Cardinals and not think twice. Like, oh, I could burn the Cardinals, a team that I don't want to use down the stretch of the season, playing against the Saints right now, who are projected to be like one of the worst teams in football. And then you're like, holy shit, the Saints just won. Not what I was expecting. And a lot of people get knocked out of Survivor in week 1. It just seems like something that would happen.
It's going to happen.
It just seems like something that would happen.
It's going to happen.
I'm still going to stick to my guns because there's no shot I'm going to back Spencer Rattler and this Saints team week 1. Arizona typically starts off the season on a good note. Bless you. So I'm going to expect the same here.
Thank you.
But one thing that I'm looking out for, this Saints offensive line with all those first-round picks on it, many of them not living up to their draft status. It's a revamped Arizona defensive line with Josh Sweat, Calais Campbell, Walter Nolan, their first-round pick. So I think this Cardinals front is going to get a lot of pressure on Rattler early, and Rattler's going to turn the ball over. And then ultimately the run game with James Conner will take over and win this game in the second half. Leg number 3 in Big Dog's touchdown score parlay this week will be James Conner. The guy is just as reliable as it gets. I know he's 30 years old. I don't care. Show me a world where James Conner doesn't score in this Saints defense. Their front is not good in New Orleans. So I'm going to take the vet in James Conner after going with the rookie in Travion Henderson.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. Yeah, I mean, I would say between this and the next game we're going to talk about, those are probably the two biggest ones that seem like they're going to be super high survivor picks where I could see them going, one of those two teams getting upset. But because we see it every year. Every year it's like the week one, and then but I will say if the Saints can win 5 or 6 games this year, they're going to knock a lot of people out of survivor because I think they'll probably be the most. That and whoever plays Cleveland are going to be the two biggest favorites for survivor picks.
Yep, that next game is the Bengals 5.5-point favorites at the Cleveland Browns, a 47.5 win total. No chance am I taking the Cincinnati Bengals in survivor after they lost week 1 to the Patriots last year and just knocked me out, and they screwed a ton of people. So I am not taking the Bengals in survivor. However, I do see him taking care of business here. What say you?
Yeah, I'm not touching them in Survivor. I think it's been 2 or 3 years now they've lost their home opener, so they're historically terrible so out of the gates. I do think it's going to be a similar feat. I think they'll get it done because they're the better team, but I think this game will be very close. I think Joe Flacco and I talked about Jerry Jeudy will have huge games here. I think they'll actually get up big to start the game, and we'll be like, oh, boy, here we go again, where Cleveland gets up 14-0 early on because Cincinnati's defense is terrible. And then ultimately Joe Burrow and, the offense will get going. But the Cincinnati defense still has a lot of good players on it, so I think they'll be good enough to keep them in it at home where you're giving me 5.5 points. So give me Cleveland to cover, Cincinnati to win. I could see it being a walk-off field goal, and everyone's like, damn, maybe Cleveland's better than we thought. Nah, it's just Joe Flacco's a veteran and is going to carve up a terrible defense and keep him in it. But like I said, Jerry Jeudy, a guy I think can go over 100 this week. Joe Flacco over 300 yards is a mortal lock. Put it in Big Dog's parlay.
Yeah, we don't do passing yards around here. And hey, I actually have the Bengals.
Anytime.
I also have the
passing touchdowns.
I guess theoretically I could do over passing touchdowns if I wanted to.
I don't like that though. Yeah,
I like the anytime touchdown stories.
Could.
That's kind of my thing. But I actually think the Bengals are going to cover the 5.5 here. Look, you're almost talking me into taking the Browns to cover. Divisional matchup. The Bengals historically off to slow starts. Ultimately, for me, the Bengals were playing in preseason much earlier to try to avoid that slow start. I'm hoping that translates into week 1, and that offense should be ready to go. And there's just no doubt about it. That offense is superior talented to anything Cleveland has to offer. Although they got some names on defense, I don't think they have the guys in the secondary that can hold up with this Bengals passing attack. I think Chase Brown's going to have another big game, go for over 100 yards. Yeah, although Joe Flacco might have a big game, for me, the Bengals are just significantly better, and if we both have them in the playoff picture, they got to start off hotter. Hey, it's hard. I don't know. It's a divisional game. It's really difficult because I could see the Browns covering, but at the end of the day, the Browns offense sucks. So I'm hoping that Cincinnati defense can show something week 1.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably one of the best matchups for that defense. So if they can't show it here, which I don't think they'll show it here, it's going to be a lot of this season. But I am, I'll give you guys a little teaser because we are also going to be starting the Felt 5 where between me, Colin, our graphic designer, Garrett, Drock from Drock's Lock, and then Zach, who does Around the Octagon. All 5 of us are going to be taking 5 picks each week, so a total of 25 picks together. We're going to be going from our 5-unit pick, 4-unit pick, 3-unit pick, 2-unit pick, and 1-unit pick. And we're going to tally it up, put out a graphic every week, and then see who can go up the most units at the end of the year. And then you'll also know, too, if you want to tell, I only want to take 1 pick. I'm going to take their most confident player. Maybe I want to parlay all their most confident plays. That's how you can do it. But mine, I've just talked myself into it. I'm going to be going balls to the walls week 1. I'm taking Joe Flacco, 300-plus passing yards. That's going to be my 5-unit play. I feel so confident. I said mortal lock. I don't even know what the odds are on that. I might pull it. I'll pull it up right now. But I feel very confident in him to get over that mark. And I could go and take his like normal line, but no, I'm going big kahuna hunting in week 1, baby. Let's get off to a fucking Rocket Man type start. You know what I'm saying?
Reagan.
What do you think about that? What do you think about that? You like that? You like that?
Yeah, let those go now.
You like
hang,
that?
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, let those
yeah,
nuts
he's
hang. I like it.
He's minus 106 for 240 plus. That's his regular line. But to get 300 plus 364 right now. Wow, that could put me up almost. That could put me up like 17 points, 17 or 18 units, something weird. I don't know the math, and I don't want to do the math right now. I just want to give you the good pick, the little sneak peek.
Wow, that's a ballsy call, Reagan. I like it. Moving on to Miami at Indianapolis. The Colts a 1.5 favorite. Total of 46.5. The first start for Daniel Jones in Indy. Reagan, does he get a win in his debut?
Daniel Jones will. He will get the win. This Colts offense is going to be humming at home. 1.5. I love that line because, that's very easy to cover. So I'll take him to win. I'll take him to do it all. I think it'll be a big JT game on the ground. I think he's going to gas his defense, go over for 100. I'm sure that's your fourth leg in the big dog parlay. Sorry to steal your thunder. But yeah, man, no, it's not. But I'm excited. I think Daniel Jones is going to take the bull by its horns, really seize this job, take it over, and earn some love with the Indy community right away after getting a big week 1 win. And this is funny because these are two coaches as well here. Great offensive minds. We both think that they'll pick up offensive coordinator jobs, but these are two guys that are on the hot seat and could be looking for new homes if their teams aren't in the playoffs.
That's a good point, Reagan. I disagree with you, though. I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins to go on the road and win week 1. I'm banking on a healthy Miami offense going into Indy and exposing a secondary that I still don't feel super high on, despite the additions of Travion Ward and Cam Bynum. I think they'll need some time to gel, and I think a fully healthy Tua, despite the problems the offensive line, can take care of business against the Colts because I'm not scared of the Colts pass rush. I think this Miami secondary concerns me, but I don't think Daniel Jones will be able to dice him up and expose them. And that Miami pass rush is going to be the key to the game here for me with Chop Robinson, Bradley Chubb, all those guys that they got up front. I think they can make Jones uncomfortable, and Jones has historically struggled under pressure. So I think the pass rush of Miami with a healthy Tua Tagovailoa, they can go in and get a win on the road here. And hey, I thought about some guys in this game on the Miami offense, Devon Achane, but he's probably going to play, but still some concern with the calf, so I stayed away. And right now, I don't know what Tyreek Hill's going to look like in week 1. It should be a big game given this matchup, but hey, he didn't really give us much to go off of last year to be confident to put him in my parlay this week.
Yeah, I mean, my girlfriend's a Dolphins fan, so I'm going to fade them all season long. I don't like my girlfriend. I can't stand my girlfriend.
Oh, Jesus, buddy.
No, she's sitting right next to me. I'm just messing with her.
Wow.
But yeah,
you guys, what do you guys rate Reagan's flirting on scale 1 to 10 in the comments? Would love to hear.
Yeah, it's our 1 month anniversary. I'm a good guy for that. She's cracking up in the background. But yeah, no, I think this Colts Dolphins game will be close ultimately. But let's get into the next close matchup, brother.
Yeah, enough of you flirting, man. Next game, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a 1.5 favorite at the Atlanta Falcons, a 46.5 point total. Michael Penix, what is he going to show to start off in year number 2?
Michael Penis, actually.
Jeez. Whoa.
Did you see that video? He does not like it when you call him that.
Well,
did you see that video?
No, I didn't see it. I got to check it out.
Of the one fan, he called him that, and he's like, "What'd you just call me?" And he's like, "Michael Penis," and he's like he gets like Penix acts like he's gonna be all tough, and then the guy's just like, "Yeah, I called you Michael Penis," and he's like, Penix's face changing. He's like, "Well, don't do that," and just walks away because I think he was fully expecting the guy to be like, "Nothing," but he was like, he just doubled down, and then Penix just walks away shaking his head.
Well, yeah,
but yeah, I'm going with the Bucs here. I figured you saw it. You're like always on X, so I assumed you saw that video.
No, I didn't see that. No.
But anyway, I'm going with the Bucs here. To me, they're the better team. Baker Mayfield, I think, carves up this defense, has a big game, and I'm excited to see, this new look Bucs wide receiver core, with Emeka Egbuka now in the mix. It sounds like Godwin's going to be out for extended period of time still. I know they didn't put him on the IR because I think they want to be able to have him practice sooner and stuff, which means he'll be back sooner. But I'm really excited to see what Egbuka can do in week 1. I know you're super high on him. Also ecstatic for Bucky Irving. He was another guy having a ton of best ball in fantasy leagues. So I think he'll have a huge game here. And ultimately, I don't really have a lot of faith in the Falcons here. I think the Bucs could win by double digits and spoil their week one thing, because I still think there's going to be a lot of growing pains for Penix, because he played 3 or 4 games last year. It's not like he has a full year under his belt. I mean, he's essentially a rookie coming into this. So I think we'll still see a lot of those early growing pains.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I'm also going to take Tampa Bay here. I think Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, Emeka Egbuka, Bucky Irving, that offensive line really dominate that Atlanta defense. I think Tampa Bay scores over 25 points in this game for sure. And for Michael Penix, yeah, he showed some flashes, but he also played the Giants and played Carolina down the stretch where he had those big games. So I need to see it against a legit team first before I can really buy into the hype. Not that I think this Tampa Bay secondary is legit by any stretch of the means, but their front is damn good. They have some talent up there. They're going to be able to potentially limit Bijan, where I don't think Bijan's going to go for like 125, 150 this game. Penix will have to make plays with his arm. And ultimately, I'm going to trust the quarterback in Baker Mayfield, who I've seen throw for 40 touchdowns and 4,000 yards, instead of Michael Penix, the young buck here. Hey, if I got Tampa Bay win this division, let's start that off hot here by beating Atlanta, who I see as their biggest threat in the South.
Hey, Bucs country. Let's ride.
Let's go. Next, we got Tennessee at Denver. The Broncos 7.5-point favorites, 41.5 win total. The debut of number 1 overall pick, Cam Ward. How do you see this one going for him, Reagan?
I mean, what a tough draw for Cam Ward going against the number 1 defense in the NFL. I'm so bought in on Denver. I said I think they can win the Super Bowl. This year, they're actually my prediction to win the Super Bowl, and I think it's going to be behind the back of this huge defense. What a bad matchup. Got to be looking up. I mean, they're a veteran defense that just added, 2 great veterans from the 49ers and then drafted Jadain Barron to go with all the all-pros they already have there. Looking their chops, going to go against Cam Ward, who is going to have those growing pains early on. So I think it's going to be a tough day. I think Tennessee might not even put up a point in this matchup. That's how good I think it's going to be. I think Denver's defense could get in once or twice, and I think Cam Ward could throw 3 or 4 interceptions here and just really deals with a lot of early growing pains, because this is probably one of the worst matchups you could ask for if you're Cam Ward here.
I agree 100%, Reagan. This is my survivor pick that I feel most confident.
Yes,
I know you're like,
you're
going to burn the Broncos early, but like, whatever. I don't care, because weird things can happen week 1. I want to see some games under the belt before I can start feeling real confident about what to pick each week. This one's just a home run for me. There's no way Cam Ward's first NFL start against the best defense in football on the road, he's going to go in there and beat Denver. There's no chance that's going to happen. I also think this Tennessee defense is pretty ass cheeks right now. And Bo Nix showed so much down the stretch last year where, hey, we got a new running back now with RJ Harvey. I think he could have a big game to start off his career. But ultimately, I think Bo Nix with Cortland Sutton, they're going to dominate the line of scrimmage. They're going to score enough on offense. And I don't see the Titans scoring more than 10 points here. I've actually had Denver -7 placed for 2 months, just pending. When I saw this matchup, I took the 7 2 months ago, just waiting for this game. That's how confident I am that the Denver Broncos are to come in here and whoop ass week 1.
Yeah, I'm honestly kind of surprised too that the line isn't higher, to be honest. I guess because it's I know it is at home. I don't really understand why this line's not higher. And for Survivor, like, I think it's the stupidest thing to hold teams and wait on teams. Like, you just take what you're confident and figure it out later. If you can't get to the point to figure it out later, what the hell does it matter? It's a good problem to have it later be scrambling, because at least you have that opportunity. And honestly, for the Titans, man, like, I would bench all your Titans players. I mean, you're going to play Pollard as a volume play, but outside of that, like, I wouldn't be confident starting Calvin Ridley. Like, if Surtain doesn't shadow, he's going against Jadain Barron, who is the top-rated corner in this draft. It's a tough matchup either way you look at it. So I honestly, I don't know where Cam Ward's going to throw the ball. Like, I don't know how any of these receivers are going to be able to get separation outside of Ridley, because, Tyler Lockett washed. I mean, obviously there's a couple different rookies, so it'll be interesting to see the dynamic there with Dyke and Illuminor and some of the other guys, or Illuminor, however you pronounce it. It'll be interesting to see that. But...
not Dyke. It's DK.
Oh, DK. Fuck.
Just called him a dyke. He's like calling Michael Penix, Michael Penis.
DK. Oh, fuck, man. Fuck. All right.
Oh, it's week 1 for us too, brother. Don't worry about it. All right, moving on. Yeah. The Niners, 2.5-point favorites at the Seattle Seahawks, 44.5 point total here. Sam Darnold, Seahawks debut. Tough draw against the Niners, Reagan. Hey, you are so high in the Niners this year. I'm sure that's where you're going here.
Yeah, I think the Niners squash them in this matchup, honestly. I think they're going to be so excited to just get back in the form. We saw how they looked week 1 last year against the Jets before all those injuries settled in. They looked like a Super Bowl caliber team, and that was without Christian McCaffrey. Guess what? Unless some fluke thing happens again where they rule him out right before game time, Christian McCaffrey will be back. The majority of Brock Purdy's weapons will be ready to go. Obviously, Ayuk's not going to be back yet. That's all right. I don't care. And this Robert Saleh-led defense, I'm excited to see what that can do. And I think Darnold may be seeing ghosts in his week 1 matchup. But I think they're going to dominate on all facets. I think Nick Bosa is going to start off his depoy campaign early here, getting multiple sacks on Darnold. And I just think this is going to be a digit win for the 49ers, where it's like, hey, we had a down year, and we're back, and we're taking this division over again, and you're just going to have to deal with it, Seattle.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think Sam Darnold in a new system, his first game here, despite being at home, I think he's going to struggle. I think that Seattle offensive line is going to get dominated by that San Francisco front. I think Nick Bosa should have a field day in particular against these 2 tackles. I think it's going to have to be a big Kenneth Walker game if Seattle's going to hang in there. I think JSN can have a big game for them. But ultimately, I just believe in Shanahan. Purdy, McCaffrey's back and healthy. Trent Williams back and healthy. They got too much firepower, even with the departures on defense. I think they're the much better team than Seattle heading into the 2025. I think 2.5 points is a little disrespectful. I think people are about to learn that San Francisco is back and ready to roll for 2025. McCaffrey, monster game. He's not in my parlay because he's probably like minus 200, so I didn't want to go that route. But I think McCaffrey scores in his first game back.
Yeah, no, I think he'll have a big game for McCaffrey here for sure.
Monster game up next. The Detroit Lions plus 2.5 at the Green Bay Packers, 47.5 point total here. Looks like Micah Parsons going to be ready to go. He's dealing with a little bit of back injury, but he says he's going to be playing, and he might take an injection before the game to make sure he's out there. This is a monster game in the NFC North to start the season. What do you think here, brother?
Yeah, I'm going Detroit here. This is a no-brainer to me. I think Detroit's going to roll here. I think they're actually going to dominate them, really take the wind out of the Green Bay sails. Are all excited, but I don't think Parsons will play enough here to have a big enough impact yet. And guess what? Well, the Packers did get Micah. Detroit did just happen to get back your depoy pick, and, debatable, if not the best edge rusher currently, was on pace to have a monster season last year before he had the injuries. So I think the Lions are going to be fired up. I think everyone's writing them out early on, talking about, oh, you lost your coordinators, blah, 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 blah. Dan Campbell's going to have these boys fired up. They're going to go out there and run the ball down Green Bay's throat, because guess what? Kenny Clark, that big run stopper, he's gone. So I think that it's going to open up even more for Montgomery and Gibbs, and I think they're going to run it down Green Bay's throat. They may put up 250 rushing yards in this game. I am so excited for what Detroit's about to do to Green Bay this week.
Yeah, I got the Green Bay Packers. I disagree with you. This one's tough for me because I have these 2 teams meeting up in the NFC Championship game. I do have the Lions winning the division at 12-5. So it's kind of tough for me here, but I think they're going to split this series with both home teams winning. I will say it is huge for Detroit that they're playing in Green Bay now and not later in the season when it's freezing cold, because Detroit is an indoor team. So it's actually a great draw for Detroit, getting them week 1 on the road. However, I think a healthy Jordan Love, a revamped offensive line, the weapons that they got, Matthew Golden switched to number 0, Josh Jacobs. Hey, it might be an adjustment period for Detroit, losing both their coordinators. I like a lot of the continuity that Green Bay has in that respect. And hey, I think Micah Parsons, look, it's going to be tough to get a sack on Taylor Decker or Penei Sewell, but adding Micah Parsons, I think this team's going to be juiced, and the stadium's going to be fired up for week 1. I think it's a close game. Packers win by a field goal. So covering by 0.5 point in my mind.
All right.
Next, we got Houston at the Rams. The Rams are 2.5 point favorites, 44.5 win total. This is an awesome game, man. These last 4 games on the slate are just amazing for week 1. Holy shit.
Yeah.
This one go either way, man. I know you're not super high on Houston for this season, so I'd imagine you're going to go with the Rams here.
Yeah, and I love how the NFL's given us 4 o'clock games. I never understand. It should be 4 minimum for the 4 o'clock slate. 4 minimum.
I agree. Yeah.
But anyway, I'm going with the Rams. They just talked about how he's going to play now, Stafford. I think this Rams defensive front that we saw put up a crazy amount of sacks in their 2 playoffs games are going to feast on the Texans offensive line. I don't think Stroud's going to have any time. I've seen the games where Stroud just gets sacked 6 or 7 times and looks so uncomfortable. I mean, I've seen it against the Jets twice now where it destroyed him because he had no time and just looked flustered, and they kept sacking him. So I think the Rams are going to have a sack fest here. And I think offensively, the Rams are going to be able to get it done. I mean, as long as Stafford's healthy and playing, you're super excited about what Adams and Nakua are going to do. And guess what? Kyron got extended. He's going to put up his. And I don't care how good Derek Stingley is. They have both those guys. You can't cover them both. So he just can go away from that matchup and target the other guy. And even if Stingley kind of limits one of them, those are still 2 top 10 receivers in the league. So it doesn't matter. So I think the Rams win handedly here at home and start out the season with a big win against the Texans.
I disagree with you yet again. I'm going to go with the Texans for the road upset in week 1 here.
Shocker.
I think that the Rams have started out slow the past few years. I think Stafford's back, although he's playing. It's still a slight concern for me to start the season because this Houston defense is not an easy draw with their pass rushing tandem of Will Anderson Jr., Danielle Hunter, what they have in the secondary with Derek Stingley, Jalen Petrie. I think this Houston defense is going to cause a lot of problems. I also think the Rams defense in that front can cause problems for Houston as well, as you touched on, because that Houston offensive line,
for the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, that Houston offensive line is not very good. So it's definitely a concern. Don't get me wrong. However, I think both teams are going to come out a little sluggish. I think Houston gets it done in an upset, and I think Nico Collins has a monster game in this one. Last year, the Rams secondary allowed the 5th most passing touchdowns, and they were 25th in pass defense, which is why to close out Big Dog's touchdown parlay for week 1, it is Nico Collins. Look, no Joe Mixon. It's going to be Nick Chubb at running back. You got Jaden Higgins, a rookie, Jalen Noel, a rookie, and Christian Kirk at receiver. I think Stroud targets Nico Collins 15 times in this game. I feel good about Nico getting the end zone here. If Houston's going to win this game, if they're going to score, Nico Collins is going to get at least one of them. So give me Nico Collins to round out the parlay.
Yeah, that will be interesting as well to see how that whole Houston backfield develops, because the Joe Mixon news is just so weird right now. We're like,
you're saying he might not even play this season.
It's very similar to the McCaffrey thing last year. I mean, obviously we knew a lot ahead of time, but it's very similar where they're not really saying anything and they're not really giving a timeline. So I don't know. I would suck. I took him in a lot of leagues late, just like buying the fact that like if he does come back, like Chubb is cooked after what we saw with Cleveland last year. But I don't know. But Woody Marks is a guy definitely to keep an eye on, the running back at a USC in fantasy leagues. Keep an eye on him. Same with Dameon Pierce, because I don't think Chubb's very good. So if Mixon is to miss a lot of time, I think one of those 2 guys could definitely surpass Chubb at this point in his career, which sucks because Chubb's a great player, but just a guy who's been ruined by all the injuries at this point.
That is true. All right, we got Sunday Night Football. The Baltimore Ravens at the Buffalo Bills. The Bills a 1.5 favorite at home here. I mean, this is the AFC Championship preview for me. If you in our season prediction longs episode, that's what I got. I got Buffalo against Baltimore. I mean, you can go either way here, man. Stats are not going to tell the story. We got 2 juggernauts going at each other week 1. Which side did you ultimately pick?
I took Buffalo. I was taking whoever was the home team in this matchup. Just the home crowd boost at home. That was ultimately what I did. I mean, there's no point in throwing any stats. They're both juggernauts. They're both, should be primed to have, in the playoffs win their division. It's just, can either of them get past the big bad Patrick Mahomes this year, which I said no to both teams. Or I guess one of them technically could. But regardless, I'm going with the Bills because they're at home. Not a whole lot of insight there. Don't feel super confident either way. I just went with the Bills because, like I said, they're at home.
I don't feel super confident either way either, but I went with the Baltimore Ravens because if I'm going to pick the Ravens to go 14-3 and have the best record in football, I might as well take them week 1 despite being on the road at Buffalo and potentially their most difficult game of the season. I mean, I just think Lamar's got more dudes around him right now. Again, stats are not going to tell the story here. This can go either way. These are 2 amazing teams, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar comes out and has a better game week 1, and I think they win by 10 points.
Wow, by 10. I don't know about that.
Yeah, 10-point win.
That, but
30-20, Baltimore.
Wow.
Book it.
On the road. Wow. That is a
That's how you start the
bold
season
take.
off with a bang. That's how you start the season off with a bang.
That
right
is
there.
bold.
All
Yeah,
right, to
for sure.
wrap us up, Monday Night Football. The Minnesota Vikings, 1.5 favorites. The debut of J.J. McCarthy at the Chicago Bears. The debut of Ben Johnson. Wow, this is a really fun one. Monday Night Football. The Bears, of course, getting a lot of love in the media right now with their new head coach, with Caleb Williams. I know you're pretty high in the Bears this year, Reagan. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bears here at home. I mean, I'm not like super high on either team. I think they'll both be average around 500. Floating in the hunt all year, but neither of them are gonna make it. But I'm going with the Bears at home. I'm excited for what Ben Johnson can do. Vikings right now seems like they're dealing with a lot of injuries right now to the receiver core. Obviously, as long as they have Jettas, it doesn't matter. But that definitely doesn't excite me. I mean, it's good they got Thielen back, but it's a whole new. He's going to have to learn the playbook again. Obviously, that's also some pause for concern there. But also, it's JJ McCarthy's first start. Like, the dude's going to be a rookie. He is a rookie to me. It's his first start, so I'm going to go with the Bears here to ultimately take advantage of the rookie quarterback.
I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings. I think this Minnesota front is legit. And I think this Chicago offensive line, although revamped and it looks good on paper, I think there needs some time to gel here. So I think Caleb Williams is going to be running for his life a little bit. And, hey, it's his first game in a new system. And although I think he does have a good year, this is a tough draw week one against a pretty legit Minnesota defense. Yeah, the J.J. McCarthy debut, of course, everyone's looking forward to this. And what can he do? I don't think he's going to have some gaudy stat line where he throws for 300 yards and they light the world on fire here. But I think O'Connell is the more seasoned coach, obviously, at this point. I think he's going to put McCarthy in position to be successful. I think Justin Jefferson, of course, has a big game. I think Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason split touches and could do some work against the Chicago front. I'm still concerned about that Bears pass rush where ultimately in the trenches, I think Minnesota has the edge. So give me the Minnesota Vikings on the road to get the win.
Yeah, that's going to be, there's a lot of like toss-ups, and that's definitely a big toss-up. I do have, now that we're done with the matchups, Caleb did just submit some questions real quick. I do want to go over them quick because I think this is a big question that people are going to be asking. He goes, "Welcome back, boys. Hyped for the season. I'm rooting for Reagan this year in a season-long ATS competition. He's tired of seeing Colin beat the brakes off of me." Yeah, obviously Colin has done better in the punishments historically. But he wants to know anyway, he wants to know what is the best matchup based off of defense streaming options this week. So he wants to know what are some good defenses to target for fantasy if you didn't end up taking, the Broncos for say, or some of those top tier defenses. I mean, one that comes to mind for me is Washington against the Giants at home. While the Giants have improved on that offense, I don't care. Like, they're still on the road against a playoff team. Another one I liked as well is the Bears, who we just talked about, going against a rookie quarterback at home in his first ever start, or second year quarterback, whatever you want to say. I mean, are there any you're looking that like are street quote unquote streaming options?
Give me the Arizona Cardinals, man. And they're available in a lot of leagues, particularly dynasty leagues, because no one's stashing that defense. But look, anytime Spencer Rattler's on the field, I like that defense against him because, of course, the guy takes a ton of sacks and he turns the ball over and he doesn't throw many touchdown passes. That sounds like a recipe for success for your defense. And yeah, this Arizona front is completely revamped. Josh Sweat, Calais Campbell, Walter Nolan. They're getting back guys like B.J. Ojulari, who was out for all of last season. I think this pass rush can get to work on this Saints offensive line that should be good on paper, given the amount of first-round picks. But, a lot of those guys haven't lived up to draft expectations. Rookie left tackle and Kelvin Banks. It's going to be a tough draw with Josh Sweat. So I think this Arizona defense will not allow more than 14 points. I think they will turn the ball over a few times. Maybe Budda Baker gets one to start off with a bang. Maybe returns it for a touchdown, and they win you your week one matchup.
And this one, I like his final question, which I think is funny. Would you rather spend 90 days in jail or bet your life savings on one of the following teams to get an upset win this week? The options: the Saints over the Cardinals, the Giants over the Commanders, the Browns over the Bengals, or the Titans over the Broncos. Who are you taking and why? Wow. I'm taking my life savings. I ain't going to jail. I don't want to be in jail. I'm too pretty for jail. Maybe that's just some confidence, but I'm going with Joe Flacco and the Browns to get the upset at home at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals historically are terrible in week 1. Their defense is terrible. Joe Flacco, very good quarterback with his weapon, Jerry Jeudy, are going to cook this week. They're going to get the upset win, and I'm going to be doubling, tripling, quadrupling in my life savings, sitting outside of a jail cell. Colin, what about you? You going to jail? You taking the risk?
Yeah, I'm taking the risk, and I'm going to take the New York Football Giants to go in and upset the Commanders as 6.5-point underdogs. Look, I've already mentioned it, man. I think that pass rush is going to get to work on Jaden Daniels. They can use Abdul Carter as a spy. That's something that Jaden has not seen before. I still don't love this Commanders offensive line, even with the addition of Larry Tunsil, because, hey, they're without their starting right guard. That means Dexter Lawrence is going to have a big day on the interior. So give me the Giants. I do think of all those options, you got to go with the divisional matchups. The Browns or the Giants to get it done week 1 over the other 2 options. Stick in the division. These teams know each other well. They play all the time. So I think those would be your best 2 options of the 4 provided.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would. We talked about how we think the Broncos are going to come, and the Cardinals Saints is just icky. But I could see a freak thing happening. But I agree. But guys, I mean, let us know in the comments. Are we going to jail? Are we going to jail? Or are we going to be some rich guys on the outside of the jail? Huh?
Woo! Come on, man. It's week 1. So excited. Drop a comment. Drop a like. We're looking forward to you joining the rest of the season. That's just 1 down. Many more to go.
Yeah. And Colin, get ready to chug wine. Get ready for that heartburn, brother. Get ready for that heartburn.
Not me.